What's going on, everyone? Welcome to FTP. We're doing Shatterline, Dan.
Good old Shatterline. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
I really
So,
enjoyed that game. I actually plan and see us playing it quite a bit in the future.
100%. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a well-made game for what it is. Isn't it? What, alpha, I believe, or is it still in beta?
I think it's in beta.
Beta.
It definitely feels like a beta game.
It does, but it's still very well made to the point where they're at now. Um, which is very, surprising to see for a game in beta with how much it has.
Right. What's crazy is like there's not a lot of people playing this one.
I think it has a lot to do with there's no advertisement about it. I
Right.
haven't seen any advertising about it until you said, "Hey, let's try this game because it's free to play."
Right.
Um, but I've seen no advertisement about it at all.
This is a game that I would recommend highly. Like, let's get into like what this game is first before we do.
Yep.
So Shatterline is a PvE PvP focused game with I don't even know how to describe it, like roguelike. There's so many different game modes. Like there's a full-on story that you can play about two military factions and a would you say parasite or invasive species
Yeah, virus, invasive species from a different planet,
called the
um,
crystalline.
which it has a unique backstory that they tell you, which is super cool. It's not just thrown in your face and instantly when you start it, it has the background, unlike other games, but like instantly tells you how it started, and you're not going in blind, which
Right.
is nice.
So there's zombie-esque characters, which are the crystalline. And the game mode that we've been playing the most is the expedition. Is that what they call it?
Yep.
And that's super cool. So there's an open world map, and you have to collect supply drops that give you perks. You have to make it as far as you can. So it's like a cool play on, would you say, like PUBG meets Nazi zombies in a way?
Um, I think it's more of extraction. Is that what that was called?
Mm-hmm.
When they stopped zombies for a bit and then they did the non-zombies with the animals and stuff.
Oh, the
That's what it
alien.
that's what it gets me more of a feel of. That's kind of exactly what it feels like to me.
I love that game mode. I haven't had this much fun with a free play game since Paladins, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I agree. Because it's such a well-made game, and most of the free play games are funny or very dull.
Mm-hmm.
This game has a lot to it, which makes it not dull. I mean, if we're talking about game modes, um, we've been playing a lot of the uh, I keep calling it Extinction. I don't know why. Expedition.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, there's a whole mode for just campaigns for expeditions. It has story element to it, no matter what you're doing. I mean, the PvP has story element, but the fact that each game mode that you play has a story element other than just going, oh, team deathmatch, oh, this, let's go capture the flag. It still brings the story into it, which I like a lot.
Me too. Me too. I like the fact that you have the option of participating in different types of story modes. You have the skirmishes, which don't have bosses, and it's meant to be played as fast as possible. But then you have like the main story mode, which has bosses. It has a lot of like talking over the radios and giving you more details about the world. But not only that, but the world is interesting to explore. It's interesting to look at. They already have some pretty fun Easter eggs with the cat stuff, and I don't know. The Shutterline really did what a lot of free to play games should. They've given us great gameplay. The sliding mechanics are great. The aiming feels really good. The only thing that annoys me is the bug with the headshots that needs to be fixed. For some reason, if you're standing off to the left or the right, you can't get a headshot, which is weird.
Yeah, I don't know if it. I mean, and again, I don't know if it's in the game itself or just the training mode. Because I didn't really pay attention to it because it's so hectic and so fast paced that you
Hmm.
can't pay attention to those. but it's very well known in the training facility.
Hmm.
So, my guess it does transfer to the
Maybe the
regular game
PvP.
itself. It could transfer the PvP, but there was a lot of headshots happening
Hmm.
when we were playing that. It was insane.
Well, our experience with the PvP wasn't great. It definitely felt like the majority of the games had hackers already.
And I'm a PvP guy. I'm the guy that does games for PvP, usually not PvE, and I'll play PvP over or PvE over PvP in this game any day. And I absolutely hated the PvP mode. No idea what was going on. I either seen nobody or seen 7 people,
Right,
and it was hectic. It wasn't hectic in a fun way. It was hectic like what the hell is going on? I don't even know what I'm doing.
right. Yeah, I when I play PvP, I expect some team coordination. I expect, mics on. But in this regard, the game just didn't feel good. I feel like the abilities of the characters clash with the PvP mode, but flourish in the PvE.
Yeah, I think that's what hurts it a lot. It's not necessarily like other games that have, abilities and stuff like that, but some of them are just unreal for PvP, and I don't know if it should be a thing. Maybe that was just my first experience, but I don't see myself playing the PvP
No, me neither.
like at all, and that's weird for me because that's what I play games for is PvP because I'm super ultra competitive, and for me not to want to touch a PvP shows how good the PvP is
Right,
or PvE is. Sorry.
right. Because even when we were playing like Destiny 2, you would often want to do the PvP mode, where I much prefer playing through like the story and doing the bosses and stuff.
Man, Gambit OG, all right?
Gambit is
Listen,
one of the best game modes ever made.
Destiny is. See, if we're going to compare this to Destiny's PvE, I think Destiny's PvE is boring.
I
I
understand.
think it's the same, it's the same thing. In this game, it's not the same thing. There's different generated maps, there's different missions you can do. It feels like a different experience every time. Destiny feels like the same thing. So maybe that's another reason why I like PvP in most of the games. And that's why it surprises me that I like the PvE so much more, is
Right,
because it's a different feeling every round.
right. But even then, like there's different PvP modes, and we should probably clarify that as well. Like this game does have the map builder mode, which is pretty cool that we didn't get around to. And then there's also like the 3v1 hunt mode, which we didn't get to. But those both look really badass.
Those look like they'd be fun, but again, we were time constricted and we got stuck playing the PvE. And you know, yeah, we got a couple, 1 or 2 matches in on PvP, but when you're so into a certain mode,
Hmm.
it's hard to switch. And I bet you those would have been nice and fun to play, but from our experience, we got turned off of PvP because it felt like there were cheaters.
Right.
Now we don't know if they were or not, but when you run around a corner and you get one tapped, or and you look at the mini map and you're not showing up, it's hard
And
to want to play something like that.
it's always hard to jump into PvP, especially when you don't know the game or how it like plays or is efficient. Like what's the meta? What are you doing? But like we have enough experience with video games at this point, like hopping into the PvP. The fact that we both walked away with like almost no kills, if we ever got a kill, and it was just a pain in the ass. It wasn't really. I didn't feel like it was even worth my time to hop back into it because by the time you even get semi decent at it, the PvE is just there. It's so much more fun to squad up with 2 friends and run through the battle zone and see how far you can make it. Like, can I get 5? Can I get 6? How many supply drops can I get? How many perks can I stack? Stuff like that. It's really fun, and you can be competitive with your own friends. So I think Shatterline really does shine in its PvE.
Yeah, I think the problem is that their PvP is based off of what you do in PvE. There
Hmm.
shouldn't be weapon locks in PvP. Everything should just be unlocked. Um, and I think what would help is some sort of matching system to where I'm not going to be playing somebody that does nothing but PvP since I just got the game and they're just going to shit on me in a sense.
Right.
Um, there should be something where I'm facing people that just picked the game up just like me,
Mhm.
a match, like I said, like elo matching or some sort of matchmaking that's going to put me up against players that are the same skill level as me for, let's say, 10 matches
Right.
and then put me out into the world. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm. I completely understand, and I agree completely. Like, that was one of the issues, and I'm sorry to bring this up, but with, like, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 releases that, you would be matched up based on your rankings and everything instead of it, what is your weakness and things like that. Like, the casual didn't exist. You were always having to be sweaty, and that's kind of what Shatterline gave me, is that you need to sweat every time you play PvP, even if you're just vibing.
and that's what could kill a game, to be
Mhm.
totally honest with you.
Like,
But
if I
if they turn to different, like they could do just so many different modes.
Mhm.
But I think this game's gonna survive off of PvE.
I agree completely. And I think they have opportunities here, like, if they do, like, playable monsters or something like that, and you could have, like, a PvP where you wanna turn people into crystallines or something like that. Like, there's a lot of opportunities for Shatterline to be a unique game, but it really comes down to, do they have the guts to be unique?
And that's what's hard in today's market.
Mhm.
Everybody wants to be the same, whether it's survival games, straight up shooter games, Tarkov, battle royales. Everybody wants to be the same. Nobody, in my mind, has the urge to be different because of market sales.
Right.
And if they can turn the market around, I mean, you're going to see games start to becoming like this, which is should happen. There should be more games like this, to be totally honest with you. And hopefully this is a step in the right direction.
And I feel like a lot of people are going to point Shatterline at games like or Warface, and I think that's an okay comparison. But Warface is much more Call of Duty inspired, and Shatterline seems to be more inspired by things like Left 4 Dead and less competitive nature stuff. And I appreciate that, because when we first jumped into Shadowline, it felt unique, it felt special, it felt like something that hasn't been attempted before. And I wanted to see them stay to that path, stay true to their goal in that regard, because it's so easy to fall into the trap of just making another team deathmatch arena shooter. They have something here that they could expand upon. Like, Shadowline PUBG crossover would be really cool, where in the world they have like the crystallines popping up, their supply drops, you gotta run around, and maybe the crystalline is, like, expanding and closing. Like, a cool battle royale mode would be cool. There's a lot of fun opportunities to expand this game.
I just hope they take the chance to do that. I hope more people actually come and play this game and try it out.
Mhm.
And they need to start advertising.
I agree. And the battle pass isn't too expensive. It came down to what, almost $10, and then in the battle pass, if you actually play, you get enough coins to get the next one free.
Yeah, it's the going rate for battle pass is $10 for the non-premium and then 25 for, I think it's like the first 20 unlocks.
Mhm.
Normal like most battle passes, and then, the upside is if you buy the non-premium, you do get enough coins at the end of the pass to get the next one for free. So that's a super plus in my book. And also a plus in my book is that it's not shoved in your face like
Mhm.
other games. Other games, you load up multiplayer and it's instantly, oh, have you seen the battle pass? Every single time I load up a game, it gives me the option to buy both battle passes, and this is something that game doesn't do, and hopefully doesn't continue to do, because at that point, I'm just not going to buy the battle pass because you're just trying to shove it in my face. I understand you're a free to play game, some aren't free to play, but give me the option. Don't try to make my brain see it every time I launch and question whether I need it or not. Because if I need it, I'm gonna get it. If I don't, I don't. Don't shove it in my face on a daily.
And what's nice about Shatterline is, if, you're somebody who already runs battle passes and things like that for other titles, there is enough for you to do, and there's enough unlocks for the game for it to stay relevant and stay fun. It's not necessary.
Yeah, it's not necessary at all unless you want some certain skin from there. But you can unlock that skin, I believe, through the blueprint system anyway.
Right. And the blueprint system's great. There's constantly challenges. There's enough free to play unlocks for it to remain interesting.
And that's something you don't have with a lot of games. Some games you need to buy the battle pass because it's pay to win or all this other stuff. And that's what I like about this game, that it's not pay to win. You don't need the battle pass. And you can just go in with your friends and have a good time.
Yep. And then the blueprint system, the custom blueprints do give you buffs, but nothing else does. And even those buffs, they're not like game breaking buffs. It's very minor.
And I believe they're only for PvE. I don't believe the buffs go to PvP.
Oh, that's cool. I don't know. So
I think I read that when it says not available in multiplayer or
oh.
PvP, I think in the description. So um I could be wrong, but I thought I seen that somewhere.
Hmm.
So because at that point, if it is in PvP and it gives you just a little bust, it would be kind of sad, but at that point they should just make, like I said, all the guns free, and I think that's one of the, issues with the PvP. So
What are you most excited about seeing from this game?
it's development after getting out of beta, what they're gonna do for more game modes, if they're gonna update characters. I would love to see a lot more operatives.
Oh, me too.
Um it has a lot of potential with how many characters they can make. And and they can even do crossover events with
Right.
characters from other things, which would be super cool.
I would love to see
Like,
crossovers.
man, I'd love to see a Master Chief with a bubble shield as one of his abilities. That'd be sweet.
That would be super cool.
'Cause I love my smoke grenade. But if I can go over your dead body and pop out a bubble shield, like, give it to me. Give it to me now.
Yeah, Shadowline definitely has put themselves in a pretty good opportune area where, they can really develop the characters out. They can introduce new operatives. And the story has set it up that the operatives can be really interestingly shown because from what we understand is they have some kind of immunity to the crystalline. So introducing characters can just be like, "Oh, here's a mission and you're going to save this operative and that's how you unlock the operative." And I love the idea of like giving us physical mediums in which to unlock operatives.
What I also think, what other, not coming onto that topic, but what would excite me is one of the missions, there's radio chatter, and the person in charge is arguing with somebody else, and they talk about wanting to save a boss that you're playing.
Hmm.
Um, and I hope, later in development, they can give us the option of doing something in the game itself to save that boss instead of taking its life. Be like, okay, you got to do these two objectives. You have to get some kind of syringe or something. Like they can add it to the level where you can choose to save
Hmm.
or kill the boss, and you can get different perks or different rewards depending on what you do.
Right.
Because it adds, a different type to the game itself, having that radio chatter where they're arguing about it, and then maybe later on, if you chose one side, a different mission is going to be harder because maybe he doesn't send in air support or something along the lines where it's going to affect the campaign as it goes on.
Right. Especially if it's like they ever have like a play it in order kind of system because right now it just picks missions at random. And then
Hmm.
if you're like, "Oh yeah, we want to support like speedrunning and things like that," which would be a phenomenal idea because these kinds of games you already want to go fast. Putting a timer in the game and playing into the speedrun community a little bit could be huge as well.
Yeah, it comes down to a lot of ifs. Um, because oh, if we do this, they're gonna think they're gonna have to change something, but they don't have to change it in a sense.
No.
You can have a whole mode for just time trials.
Right.
Just like Warframe, one of the two. The faster you do it, the better rewards you get.
Warframe does it
So,
that way, yeah.
And I think that would be something interesting because it would change the way you play the game itself.
I'm also excited to see like more weapons. I think the weapons feel good. They look cool. The attachments are all super cool.
I have a few problems with some of them.
I think the game has too
Um,
high of recoil right now.
I feel like if you're on a controller, the recoil's insane.
Hmm.
Mouse, it's a little more easier to control, but it also depends on how much space you have on your desk.
Right.
Um, I don't mind the recoil patterns in a sense because each weapon does have a different recoil pattern, but the fact that you can learn a recoil pattern is nice, but in the fact that even if I have an attachment, the recoil pattern should change. It shouldn't be the same. If I put on a grip, it still shouldn't be the same pattern. It should make you relearn the pattern
Right.
because it should technically be different.
But it's just like flatline perks depending on what you put on your gun.
Yep. And which is kind of annoying because if I want less recoil, give me less recoil.
Right.
If it makes the game too easy, then you amp it up somewhere else.
Well, if this game is one thing, it is not easy.
No,
This game
not
is
at all.
hard.
I love the fact that there's contamination levels and it doesn't just kill you. Like it's not like a circle closing where, oh well, now I only have this amount of time.
Right.
You have what is it, 5 levels of contamination until you actually need to get out because then you get I think it's a 6-minute timer.
Yep. And then the island
So
destroys itself.
which is crazy to me.
Right. Yeah, there's just so much going on. Shatterline is definitely a heavy recommendation from me. This is one of those games that, I watched the videos for it and I was like, okay, this looks pretty good. And then I played it and I was like, yep, this is dope.
I agree. I recommend it fully. And you might have a different experience with PvP, so give it a try.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go back to it and try the 2 modes that I wanted to try the most that we didn't have much time to do.
Hmm.
And it might change my mind about PvP, but right now with Conquest, I didn't like it, but I still enjoy the game because the PvE is amazing.
Yeah, we did one game of Conquest. We did one game of uh, man, what is it in Call of Duty where you got to capture the flag and then run to the next point?
Conquest or Rush?
No,
I th-
Russia's Battlefront Field.
oh yeah,
Starts with a D.
Domination.
Domination. That's it. Yeah. But using their abilities and things like that, it makes it really cool. I can definitely see the PvP being really good, but like all I did was hop on Reddit and other people were complaining about hackers already, and that makes me sad.
Yeah, we live in the world where no game is safe, and that's to be expected.
It's such a weird
Um,
problem, right?
I hate it. I hate it. It's and the problem is these companies that push it because they want to make money, and then you got people who just want to make others miserable and do it offline.
Yeah.
Do it on your own time. I don't have a problem with it unless it's in a competitive setting and you're ruining other people's enjoyment. You got a guy that just got out of work, come home, wants to play, and goes 0-32 because you have an aimbot and wall hacks. Like it is what it is. It's the world we live in. Um, but I recommend this game through and through. Give it a chance. Tell your friends.
Mhm.
Let's get this game promoted a little more and get its name out there.
Definitely, definitely. I would definitely recommend if you choose to pick this up, play some of the PvE first. Don't let the PvP dissuade you. Hopping right in with the low level rank weapons, not really knowing the abilities is gonna hurt. Maybe just jump into skirmishes. Don't do bosses right away. Just get a feel for it. Um, I'm sure a lot of people are gonna love the aesthetic. The game's not, they're not cursing at you. It's not too aggressive. Like if this was a movie, I would say it's like a PG-13 movie from like the late 90s. It's solid. It's solid. The comedy's pretty good. The characters are funny. It's a hero shooter, at the end of the day, it's got hero characters, they got their own classes and their own abilities. You gotta figure out what works together. Good stuff.
It's Apex and Call of Duty combined, essentially.
Ooh, I just thought of a really cool way to introduce new characters. If you get the contamination level to 5 and you're doing like the map thing, you have to do a VIP escort to get the person out.
That'd be cool. Other than just introducing them in the season pass, like
Right.
most games do. Yeah.
That would be super cool. Well, I think that's gonna about do it, huh?
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of the topics that need to be covered. I think we, talked about it pretty well. And I hopefully people take this, with a grain of salt, obviously, and then try the game on their own.
Of course.
Don't make our opinions sway you away from it. Um, but play it.
Also, there's the in-game currency. A lot of people avoid in-game currencies. I feel like this game, you don't have to even touch it. You can avoid it. Support the game if you want to support the game, but obviously put enough time into the game to make sure that it's worth your money, you know.
Yeah, it's free to play. So give it a shot. You're not going to lose anything other than an hour of your time if you don't like it. You can end up deleting it, you can keep it. Just give it a shot. You're not losing out on anything.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching Free to Play Protocol. Subscribe, like the video, share the video, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Donks out.